Okay, so we have started recording and Mackenzie's going to kick us off.
All right, so I'm sitting over here thinking, wow, I wish I had this when I was at Long. Because what Katie's about to show you is going to blow your mind, just from a math perspective. Like, I haven't dove down the rabbit hole with her for the other things, but just the fact that, one, it's already created and you don't have to create anything. Two, the kids can interact with the tech enhance, they can give audio feedback. So Corinne, like you and I were talking about getting the kids talking, that's there for them. The spiral review possibilities are endless for this, and even the enrichment side of this, because you guys have access to that K5 band. So when you're looking at your iReady data and you are kind of breaking down your kids by skill, if you're like, oh, well, this lower half still needs help with rounding to the tens, you could easily assign them something comparable in SeeSaw to give them that practice, to then give them what they need, or even front load or flip your classroom or just anything like that, just to give it some spice and just kind of brighten it up for the kids. But being able to use your iReady data to then go into what Katie's going to show you is going to be life-changing, because the spiral review possibilities are endless. And I'm loving SeeSaw, and never thought I would say that.
That is quite the promo. Thank you, Mackenzie. I
welcome.
love that. Yeah, before I jump into the platform, like as Mackenzie said, this is not your mother's SeeSaw anymore. Even from when I was in the classroom, like, oh my gosh, there's so much new. So whether you're a seasoned SeeSaw user, you used to be, or you're thinking about it, I highly, highly encourage you to take 5-10 minutes, even do it as a PLC, and like get in there and see what's available. There will be a future session recorded like this in the same format that will be just about what's new with SeeSaw, because I think a lot of people just don't know what's out there yet. So we want to make your lives easier, because the amount that you all have to do is insane, and something like SeeSaw can really help lighten that load. So with that, give me just a second. I am going to share my screen, and if at any time you cannot see what I'm doing, please just shout it out. We did have that happen once today. So, okay. So there's two main areas I want to show you. And when we look at our MOI and we look at that first column of feedback, we know that assessments fall under that feedback, both formal and informal. So that's kind of the path that we're going to take today. So once you are on your SeeSaw home screen, there's going to be a couple places that you can go. First thing we're going to do is do this Explore Libraries. And I'm going to immediately go into the Browse by Standards and Curriculum. All right, so once you get on the Standards tab, you're going to pick Missouri. Now, our priority standards did come from the Missouri standards. So for this, you're just going to have to pick the one that most closely aligns with the priority standard that you're wanting to get some information on. We're going to pick Math, third grade, and then this part you don't need to worry about any of that. And then just so you know, everything in SeeSaw, the default is English and Spanish. If you need a different language than that, then reach out to me. So here we go. So once I pick all of these things, I'm going to click search. And it'll take just a couple seconds, and then you'll see each standard, and it will group them by the strand as well. And let's say, let's do this. Understand the whole is partitioned into equal parts. Okay, so then I'm going to click over here, and you're going to see everything that SeeSaw can offer you within this standard. So for this one, it's going to be a lot of comparing or fractions on a number line. I know when I taught third grade, that was a really hard concept for kids to understand, where it was fractions on a number line. And then it's going to even tell you the templates. Now I'm going to pick a different one just to show you something else. Of course, it's not going to do it on that one. I want to show you how you can also find assessments in this. So they won't all have an assessment. And of course, none of the ones that I'm clicking right now have that. Here we go. Okay, so you can even see in that standard if there is an assessment specifically for that. Now, where that's going to be nice for you is you can click on that assessment. Let me go to share this tab. And there's a couple ways that this can look. You can present this to the class. So think about just that engaging activity, that couple of minutes that you need to kind of get your class started, to really get their brains going. You could do this even as a whole class activity and just project it up there. So kids could come up, one at a time. You could use it as modeling, however you wanted to do it. The directions will always be available to be read aloud to the student if they need that accommodation in both English and Spanish. Those are the two that are by default selected for everything. So this says, look at each number and round it to the nearest 10. Okay, so then they would just do like a drag and drop. And then they can see, I'm not really sure what this little arrow means, but that's interesting. I would have to look into that more. But you can see how this could be a very just easy way to kind of get their brains flowing if you did it as a whole class. Or your other option would be to assign it. You would fill this out. Now, what I want to point out is within SeeSaw, you can create groups. So think about your small groups, and this would work for any subject area, but let's talk math. You might have, let's just say you have 3 groups loosely aligned to grade level, below grade level, and above grade level. You could create those groups and then assign different activities so that when you're working with a small group, your other 2 small groups are still engaged in activities that are going to meet them where they're at. If you go down here, so you would fill all this out to assign it, but here's where I want to point your attention to. It will automatically tag the Missouri standards that are aligned with this activity. However, if you take an additional 30 seconds and you go here, you can see that we have our Limburg custom standards. This just means priority standards. Okay, so I would select that. And then if I tagged these and saved the tag, then when I go to see the feedback, how students did, it will align with those Limburg priority standards. Let me show you what that can look like. So you tag it with the standards. The tricky part with this in my account is I'm not linked to a classroom, so I don't have actual students. So you're gonna have to use your imagination a little bit, but I've tagged these, I've saved it, I've assigned it to the kids, they've completed it. If I go back and I go to home, your classes will all be down here. I click that, you're gonna have a grade book view of this. Let me go to share this tab. It makes me reshare it every time I switch a tab. That's why you hear me saying that. Okay, so then I go into gradebook. You're gonna see 2 views. So I can see activities view is going to be everything that I've assigned to them, whether it's an activity or an assessment. If I click standards view, this will be populated then with whatever standards you have tagged, and it will tell you how that student performed on that assessment or activity in relationship to that standard. So think about times where you're like, oh, it's the end of the grading period and I don't have enough data on this one standard. That used to happen to me all the time. This would be something fantastic to do with that. Just note this, a lot of times people will call me and say, wait, my data's not there, and they just haven't selected the correct date, okay? So one other thing, if we go back to your home page, explore libraries, you're gonna pick math and grade level. And if you scroll down a little bit, you're gonna see these things called collections. I love this because this is going to be an easy way to find your assessments really quickly, even easier than the former way that I showed you. But look what else is here. You have fact fluency if kids need work in that. If this is the kid that needs some review, but man, they have a hard time engaging with things, maybe a standard aligned game will be where to do it. You have all these things. I'm going to draw your attention to 2 specific places. Math assessments. If I click here, again, you can see it's aligned to 3rd grade, but you have access to all the grade levels. So when you're thinking assessments, or if you're thinking just activities, and you have a kid who's working below grade level, you can also select that. But I go in here, and here are like the most commonly assessed things according to our standards alignment. And you can change these, you can edit these. So if I go into oh, you know what? We were just in that one. Let me go to a different one.
Katie, you have about a minute left on our timer.
Thank you. What would I do without you? Let's do this one. Again, you can present that to the class. If you're a class that hasn't really used SeeSaw a lot, this is a great way to get your kids interacting with it and kind of learning the functionality of it. But if I assign things, again, I can do it for the whole group, all of this. I can put it in certain folders, but here down here, I can actually change the mode. So I can do mixed mode, which will just use its defaults. I can do a practice mode where the kids can get that immediate feedback if they're correct or incorrect after they've solved the problem. And then I can do an assessment mode that they will only see the results after the post is approved. So you have a lot of ways to go in and interact with that. Again, once they complete those activities, it's going to go, that data will be found in the grade book. And these are very quick, like, share outs. So if you want to learn more, you're like, that's great, I need to know more, then please book for yourself, your PLC. We can get you exactly what you need. So I'm actually going to stop sharing right now. And then I am going to stop the recording and then we'll take questions. Let's see, stop recording.